Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to do yet another Spanish-Swedish collaboration. There seems to be a hell of a lot of these getting made at the moment, but you know, it's not surprising. The Swedes do enjoy a good bit of sun and the Spanish make some pretty good beer as well. So for the Spanish side of the brewery we're going to return to Barcelona in Catalunya, and that of course is home to Garage Beer Company, and this is yet another collaboration that they've done. This time they've done it with one of my local breweries here in Skåne, with Brewski from Helsingborg. This beer that they've produced is called Apricots. It's a 7.5% double IPA. It's brewed with a Lallemand yeast and Laurel, Mosaic and Citra hop. So it should be a really quite interesting one, this. It was quite highly rated. I think it had a 92 on Rate Beer when I checked it out, and it was a 4.0 that it had on Untappd as well. So it should be a really quite nice one. You know, both breweries involved in this one. I was impressed with the last Garage Beer Company beer they had. That was the Woozy collaboration with Steve Berrios, of course, and Brewski. You've seen me review a number of their beers before. They're probably one of my favourite Scandinavian breweries. They do some really top-notch stuff. So I'm really interested to see what these guys have put out together, and hopefully you guys enjoy my take on it as well. Looking forward to this one. So anyway, as is usual with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the breweries involved here. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery websites, the link to my other reviews that I've done both from Garage Beer Company and from Brewski. No doubt I will add more from both in the near future. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel, of course, has a geography-based tagging system, so you can go into the home page and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlist of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Swedish beer reviews and all the ones, and one for all the Spanish beers that I've reviewed for you as well. This particular beer will appear in both because it's half and half. And as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Garage Beer Company then, since these guys are the home brewery. So first off, Garage Beer Company, as I mentioned to you, are based in Barcelona, and they were founded back in 2015 by Alberto Zambolin and James Welsh, who founded a beer bar together and then later got into brewing. So the two met during a brewing course, and they were taught by Steve Huxley, who was a kind of not notorious, but a well-known Liverpudlian who moved to Barcelona back in the 1970s in Catalunya in the northeastern part of Spain. But James, of course, is English, and he comes from a tech and IT background, while Alberto is Italian, and he worked in advertising and design before getting into brewing himself. So the two managed to set up their brewery in only a few months, and this can be found in the Exempla district of the city, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, which I'm probably not. But they also have a Bulgarian brew kit there which can produce around 1,200 litres of beer per time. But they're also very interested in art, and so the brewery and bar are always hosting different events and displaying lots of artwork from local artists as well. You can apparently buy a lot of these from the bar actually, because they're constantly changing it up. But in 2016 they also did a round of crowdfunding which allowed them to open a new production facility, and from there they've been able to start exporting their beers to Europe and across to America as well. I don't know if they've headed out further east right enough, but their beers are available throughout Europe and over in America these days as well. But they seem to be making a good name for themselves. As I've told you a number of times, Barcelona is supposed to be a very good beer city these days. It's somewhere that I really do need to go and visit at some point. I do need to go and explore mainland Spain. I'd love to go to Valencia and see where my flamenco guitar was made. That's one of my sort of goals at the moment. So hopefully in the future, and I'm sure I will visit Barcelona and the rest of Catalunya at some point in the future too. But yeah, a very good brewery, and one that you definitely need to check out if you're interested in Spanish and Catalan craft beer. So yeah, let's move on to Brewski then, onto the Swedish side of the brewery. So you've seen me review a number of beers from Brewski before. So Brewski were founded back in 2014 in Helsingborg in the southern part of Sweden, in Skåne. They're kind of in the northern part of Skåne, but Skåne is in the very southern part of Sweden, of course. But the founders of this company are Marcus Hjalmarsson, Johan Britsen, Alfred Olsson and Robin Skoglund, all of whom were largely inspired to get into craft brewing by the West Coast American craft beers. But Marcus was originally associated with the High Nose brand of beer, which was brewed at the Höganäs Brewery, a little bit to the northwest of Helsingborg, and some of those beers are still brewed there, although all of the Brewski beers are now brewed at their brewery in Helsingborg, which is in the old train yard actually. This brewery has a capacity of around 100,000 litres per month, and in 2016 they also started their own beer festival which is called Brewskival. I'm actually going to it on the Saturday. I'm filming this review on the Thursday before, and I will be going to Brewskival on the Saturday. But they've got they usually have at least in the first year they had over 40 different brewers. I think it was 60 last year, and I think it's roughly about the same number that are going to be there this year. For a period of time they were also opening up their brewery once a month and calling it Brewski as a sort of tap room, but they now have their own restaurant in Helsingborg as well, so it's a sort of bar restaurant. It does ramen and things like that of course as well, but there you can try a lot of the Brewski beers on tap, and it's somewhere that I really do want to go and check out at some point, because I haven't been there yet. I really want to go and see that, so maybe after work one time I'll go up there and get some ramen and some beer. So maybe I'll do a wee on-site video at some point when I get up there. But Brewski, of course, one of my favourite Scandinavian breweries, one of my favourite breweries in Sweden, and they do some pretty awesome stuff. Mainly they specialise in IPAs. They're very good at producing fruit IPAs and sour IPAs and stuff like this, but it would be cool to see them brew a Scotch ale or an Imperial Stout. I have had one Imperial Stout from them before and it was pretty good. It would be cool to see them try a variety of different styles and things, but as I say, good brewery and one that you definitely want to check out if you're particularly interested in Swedish craft beer. But that's all you need to know about both the breweries just now. If you want to learn more, check out the brewery websites in the description below. You can follow them on Facebook and Instagram and things like that as well, so check out their Facebook links, which will be in the description below too. So yeah, I'll just let you have a little look at the artwork of this one before we open it up. Like I mentioned to you earlier, this one is a 7.5% double IPA, Imperial IPA, however you want to describe it. So it is on the low end of the ABV that you would expect from a double IPA. Usually a double IPA can be around 7.5 up to around, you know, sort of 9, and then you're starting to get into triple territory. But yeah, Apricots, brewed with Brewski. It says on the back here, the malt base in this one is extra pale, malted oats, wheat, dextrin and flaked oats. The hops in this one are Mosaic and Citra, so there's not, I think must have told you a bit of lie. Oh no, it says there, there's a laurel in there as well. And yeah, so I think they must be using laurel as the bitter hop, and then Mosaic and Citra as the as the aroma hops and things like that. But yeah, should be really nice. It says they've also put, it says in the ingredients here as well, they've also put some apricots in this one. So it's, yeah, apricot fruity double IPA using Lallemand, New England yeast, highlight laurel, Mosaic and Citra hops. So yeah, should be quite an interesting one. So without further ado then, let's get this guy out and we'll get on with the tasting. Incidentally, this beer was one of the small partiers on the 17th of August 2018 in Systembolaget. So I'm not sure how likely you will be to find this beer again. It looks as if there's actually little bits of apricot coming out of this one. I'm not sure if that's apricot or if that will be a little bit of sediment because the beer has been in the fridge right enough, but you really can smell that nice apricot-y note as you open this beer up. So as you can see, and there is actually a lot of stuff floating around in that one, but it's all natural, so you know, who cares. But as you can see, this one's poured a really nice sort of bright orangey golden yellow colour, which is what you'd expect. There's a sort of half finger of quite a bumpy white head on this one, I would say. Quite a big bumpy head on that. One or two big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass, and quite a few little ones heading up towards the bottom of that head there. But pretty much as you would expect from an IPA. As I say, I do wonder if that's little bits of sediment, the sort of haze, the New Englandy stuff, because you know, the Untappd photos did look a little bit more hazy than this one. Maybe it has just sedimented a little bit much. But yeah, you know, pretty much as you would expect from a double IPA, but I wouldn't be surprised if those are little bits of apricot floating around there. But all natural, like we say, it should be really good. I'm not sure how well you can see that on the camera there, but there's a lot of stuff floating around in this one. But let's take a closer look at the aroma then and just see how we get on with this one. So yeah, it's interesting that, because for a beer that's got fruit added to it, you really can see the the malt base in this one is really kind of prominent actually. It's not overpowering if you like, but it's just a lot more kind of prominent than you would have thought with a fruit beer. But you get that nice, smooth, white bready quality to it, that almost wheaty note. You can smell the oaty kind of creaminess in that as well, and you know, there is that sort of not quite lactose, but dextrin I've always found, or dextrose, kind of gives you that, it's almost just like a kind of lactose type thing. It just gives you that kind of milk, almost milky quality to the beer, so you can definitely pick up a lot of that in this one. There's definitely a little bit of a kind of biscuity note to the beer as well, which is nice. So just take a little bit of time and enjoy the aroma of the beer before you get stuck into it. Incidentally, the Laurel hop, I had a wee look at this. I've had 1 or 2 beers that have had it, but it's not one that I've come across all that often, but it seems to be getting more and more popular. So Laurel hop was produced by the Hop Breeding Company, which I believe is over in California in America. It used to be known as HBC 291, and it's basically like they're describing it as like a super noble hop. It's supposed to give you kind of quite lemony notes and also a little bit of dark fruit as well. It can sometimes, like, you know, black currants and things like this. But it seems to be getting quite popular as a sort of bittering hop, but it can also give you a good bit of flavour, of course. But yeah, so in this beer, you get the apricots right enough. You can pick up a bit of the mango from the Citra. I think there's a little bit of the blueberries coming out from the Mosaic as well. I'm not picking up too much in the way of the tangerines that you also usually get from Mosaic. I think that the apricots are kind of dulling that down a little bit, I would say that. But yeah, there's not such a lemon zestiness, but there is something a bit more complex to it. I think maybe that's sort of blackcurrant note that I was talking about that you can sometimes get, or that you can apparently sometimes get from the Laurel. There is something a little bit more complex and berryish to this beer, kind of hiding underneath. So as I always say, just take a little bit of time and enjoy the aroma of the beer before you get stuck into it. In terms of the sort of floral, kind of grassy aspects of the hops as well, this one leans towards the grassy side of things. It's not too spicy, if that makes sense. But let's have a taste of this beer then. So this one is the Apricots, a 7.5% double IPA with apricot, brewed by Garage Beer Company from Barcelona in Catalunya, and Brewski, who are from Helsingborg here in Skåne in the south of Sweden. So let's get stuck into this one then. Slange, skål, salud. Yeah, that's a nice beer. You know, I didn't really expect anything less, but yeah, that's a good beer. Definitely one of these ones that you can enjoy on a nice hot day. I think when I finish this video, definitely going to go out the back and sit on the balcony. It'd be nice. Yeah. It's just an easy drinker, this one. I mean, it's 7.5%. It's almost dangerous how drinkable this beer is, actually. Yeah, really nice. So let's start with the malt base in this one then. So, you know, as you would expect, look at the haze coming out the bottom there. So with this one, as you would kind of expect from the sort of New Englandy type IPAs, you get that kind of wheaty and white bready quality. That just blankets the middle of your palate. It's right across the middle of your tongue. In the middle of the palate, you get a little bit of the oaty, sort of creamy notes coming out. That's definitely lingering there. You can get a little touch of biscuit to this one, but the malt base, you know, it is pretty much as you would expect. It's a kind of standard New England sort of double IPA malt base to this one. You know, it's got the wheat bread, it's got the white kind of wheaty bready notes, it's got a little bit of that oaty creaminess, and it's also got a bit of the kind of biscuity sweetness as well. But yeah, it goes together really nicely. So in terms of the hoppy side of things then, back corners of the palate, there's a little bit of earthiness there. That'll be mainly from the Mosaic in this beer. The Mosaic is always the one that's going to give you a little bit of earthiness. As you come further forward, it's actually really interesting because the way that the floral quality is coming out in this one, I can see why they're calling that Laurel hop a super noble, because it really does remind you of the likes of the Hallertau and the Tettnanger and things like that. It really does have a very, you know, really quite a similar character to it actually, but it's just a little bit more amplified, if that makes sense. Even the earthiness in this one, to be fair, it's got a little bit of that slight sweetness that you get from these German noble hops, and as you go further and further into the flavour, it's not quite dankness, but the floral quality, it just lingers there a little bit, which is really, really nice. But yeah, it's the way that all the fruits come out in this beer, that's really what's the highlight of this one. So, you know, when you go round the front curve of the palate, there's a little bit of a kind of grassy quality to this one. But the thing I've always said about fruit beers, when you add fruit to the beer, it always kind of dampens down a little bit of that kind of spicy floral aromatic note that you get from the beer. And the apricots, you can really feel those coming out on the edge of your palate as well. But then if you go behind the front curve of the tongue, that's where you get that little oily bubble where those juicy fruity esters start to come out of the beer as well. So in this one, definitely getting a little bit of that mango in there from the Citra. The mango really is quite prominent to this one. You can pick up a little bit of the orange as well as you go further and further into the aftertaste. The orangey, tangerine qualities come out of this beer as well. And then right on the tip of the tongue, you can pick up a little bit of the kind of lychee and blueberry notes as well. It's interesting how those kind of how those mix together, to be honest. And I think there's a little bit. There is just a little bit of something. It's something more than blueberries. I do wonder if it's a little bit like a kind of blackberry, blackcurrant type thing. But I'm wondering if that's from the laurel. But as I say, I can see why they've called it a super noble hop. It really is. It really does kind of remind me. It's really reminiscent of like the Czech Sats, the Hallertau, the Tettnanger, and all of these kind of things. It's interesting that to brew an IPA like this because it has the big American hop qualities, but there's also a little bit of stuff in there that I really like when it comes to the German Helles and stuff like that. It's a really interesting beer, this one. But yeah, I like how this one goes together. I can see why it's got that rating of 4 and 92. For me, it's a summer beer, this one. It's really a nice kind of easy drinker. It's a bit dangerous how sessionable this one is at 7.5%, but it definitely gets a thumbs up from me, and I'm not surprised when you consider the breweries involved. Garage Beer Company have a good reputation. Brewski I've known for quite a wee while, and they do some awesome stuff. So yeah, they've produced a really nice beer together. So give it a go if you get the chance. In terms of the mouthfeel then, mid-bodied, I would say. Carbonation's quite smooth on this one. It's got a little bit of an oily character to it. I do wonder if that's the kind of fruit juice coming out. It doesn't quite have as much of the creamy character as you expect. This one, I don't know if it seems to be a trend, but I think there's a lot of these IPAs now. They're not quite having the same kind of creamy quality that they used to. They are starting to incorporate a little bit more of the West Coast IPA, that slight oiliness to them, and I do like that when it comes to these beers. Actually, I am starting to miss the West Coast IPAs these days. So this one, it has a little bit of that creaminess, but it does have some of the oiliness you'd expect from the West Coast IPA as well. Good bit of hoppy bitterness, lovely big kind of fruity juicy quality to the beer as well, and as I say, the malt based and yeasty qualities in this one. It's a kind of combination between sort of smooth, if you like, but there's just a little touch of sweetness to it as well. But overall, a really, really nice beer. Into the aftertaste, you definitely get the apricots kind of sitting there amongst the other tropical fruits and some of that lovely noble hop quality. You could be mistaken for thinking you've just drunk a really fruity Helles beer with this one, which is quite nice. But yeah, a really interesting beer, this one, and I was glad that I got to review it. So I hope you guys have enjoyed my take on it too. But let's leave it at that. So this one was the Apricots, a collaboration beer between Garage Beer Company from Barcelona in Catalunya in Spain, and Brewski from Helsingborg and Skåne here in southern Sweden. So really good beer. Check it out if you get the chance. Thank you again for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this one in the comment section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are, both from Garage Beer and from Brewski as well. Both very, very good breweries, like I said. Check out my social media, and I will catch you guys very soon with more beer reviews. Looking forward to more from both of the breweries involved here. Slàinte just now. Skål, salud.